Tongue block blow bends? Why would you even want to? Tongue block blow bends. Why would you even want to do that? Well, the short answer is exactly the same reason that you'd want to do tongue block draw bends. When you're playing down the low end of the harmonica and you're doing a lot of that bluesy stuff or old-timey stuff or whatever you're doing, and you want to put bends in and mix techniques like slaps or tongue warbles. For the tongue blocker, it's too much work to go back to the pucker and to bend and then go back and do all your tongue blocking techniques. Exactly the same at the high end of the harmonica, especially when we're playing in first position, although this doesn't have to be exclusively first position. When you're doing a lot of those kind of old-timey things in first position or blues things, and you're you don't want to have to go back to pucker and switch back, so we're trying to learn to bend tongue blocking. I must say this did not come easy for me, and hence me making this, I found very few tutorials. I did find some stuff on forums, some of which was quite useful, so I'm going to give you those tips and play a few examples of songs that use this technique. One great example would be the jug band classic Cocaine Habit Blues. I'm on an A harp, the original's actually in C. Do check out this lesson if you want to know more about that. I would recommend starting your tongue block blow bend journey. Take a low harp, we're going to take an A, and I'm going to take an 8-hole blow. Obviously my tongue's on 7. Now, here's the thing, I have no idea how to technically teach you how to tongue block blow bend. I just learned from ages of practicing it. So you're going to have to do the same. Like any bending, I would say persistence is more important than technique. But that said, I'm going to give you a few little tips. Just take the 8. Now I'm assuming that you can bend the blow notes without the tongue block. But even if you can't, I found actually with some students that the people who can already pucker the blow bends, that was me who started puckering blow bends first, and I still do a lot, the tongue block was much harder to transition, whereas other students I've taught and they've gone straight into tongue block blow bending, they've actually got it quicker, annoyingly. This isn't the same on the draw bends for some reason down low. That's just my experience of teaching this and the students I've had. Just a quick shout to say if you like this video, please give me the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, that helps me out a lot. Thank you very much. So take that 8. And I'm sort of, my tongue's on the 7 of course. I'm playing that single note. If you're brand new to tongue blocking, I wouldn't start here. I would go and play single notes first rather than trying to bend straight away. That's just me. So I'm letting that tongue rise. I'm basically just doing exactly the same as I would normally do with a bend without the tongue block. You're squeezing the throat, I'm squeezing the chamber. One great harmonica teacher talks about having something called the K-spot. It's like this imaginary place in the mouth where you feel the bend, and I think that's quite useful. Okay, now I would put a chromatic tuner on, just like when I teach people to draw bend. Find out what that note is and try and watch it move as you're bending it. You might be able to hear it, you should be able to hear it, the pitch going down. Hear that? The pitch is dropping, it's getting lower. If you're struggling to hear it, that's where the tuner's very useful. This is delicate technique in some ways. It's very subtle changes in the mouth position. So I'm kind of lifting the tongue a bit at the back. Okay, so let's talk technique. The most helpful thing I've come across. Can you eat an oyster? Apparently when you eat oysters, you're supposed to crush them between the tongue and the roof of your mouth. Imagine that with the blow bend. The tongue's kind of coming up a little bit to the top of the mouth. It's very subtle. switch up your harps, try different harmonicas. Now, imagining that you've taken that over the period of weeks, months, every day playing that, I would say try that 20 or 30 times before you start endlessly Googling techniques and going on forums. Just try it every day. The thing with bending, perseverance and determination and doggedness will get you much further than studying and overanalyzing technique. That's just my opinion. Because our mouths are all a different shape and we all learn in different ways. And you're really just looking for these tiny little breakthroughs. So you're making these micro adjustments with the tongue, presuming you could already bend, you could already blow bend. The transition is a little tricky because you just feel it differently than the pucker bend. The pucker bend, you're squeezing, you've got more control at the front. I'd say with the tongue block, it's happening a little bit further back in the mouth. I don't know what I'm talking about technically. Someone might correct me. I think David Barrett did an X-ray of bending. So, you know, if you want to get really technical, go and take a look at that. But persistence is everything. So I'd be working daily on just getting that one hole. I'm on an A harp hole 8. A great contemporary example of this kind of playing is the amazing harmonica player Joe Falisco. In his duo Falisco and Noden, there's a great song called She's Gone. I'm going to link in the description. He's using this technique alongside some amazing tongue block bending techniques and flutter techniques. This track is very special. I highly recommend you go and have a listen to the solo, and I would say there's a lifetime's worth of harmonica study in that song. It really is superb. Interestingly, the track that I was playing right at the start of the video is a harmonica player called Gwen Foster, old-timey player who uses a lot of these techniques. And Joe Falisco said that he learned these techniques by listening to Gwen Foster and Jazz Gillen. So if we fast track a little bit, and I'm going to assume you've spent a bit of time on that 8, and you can bend it, it might not be very consistent. You're probably going to be going a bit fast and then you maybe lose it. So I want you to try and hold that. And imagine that bend is a line, and as I'm going down, I'm holding the bend and coming up. So I'm supporting it as I'm going down. And then the same going to the 7. Putting in licks like that is going to do a few things. For a start, it's going to make it more interesting to practice because you're getting some vocabulary which you can use. And you're putting it in rhythm and meter, so we're going to get that more consistently with the bend, really trying to work it. If the 8 starts happening, you can move on to the 9. Trying simple little riffs there. Then I've got the 8 and 9. And for me, I'm just going to feel around up there and start to create licks. Please let me know in the comments how you're getting on with this. Are you new to tongue block blow bending? Is it mind-boggling? Are you throwing your harp away and giving up? Don't do that. Once again, I'm fast tracking. I'm presuming you've now spent some time on that 8 and that 9, and both those bends are feeling okay. You can hit the bends when you're coming from the same hole. So for example, if you're blowing an 8, you can swoop down to the 8, but then you're probably struggling with doing what I call the clean bend, where you have to hit the bend straight on. There's a great little exercise for that. I think this actually came from, it's a Lee Sankey exercise, a great tongue block harmonica player from London. And he had this in 2nd position, and I think I adapted it for 1st position, but I'm starting on the 7 and to the 8, back to the 7, back to the 8, so I get this, and then I bend the 8, then I go back to the 7, but this time when I go back to the 8, I hit it on the bend, straight on the bend, so I get this so far. And I finish on the 7. And I've got this nice little triplety riff. Watch out, because it starts like this. 1, 2, and a 3, and a 4, and da 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 da. It starts slightly earlier than when you expect it. If I count it in. So beat 1 is actually when you go to the 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to practice that a few times. 4, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4. And you could start to mess around, that might become something else. It's a little riff you can use. Another example of where there's tongue block bending would be in my band's new album, the Rigmarollers' new album, 21st Century Speakeasy. There's a song called the Yarmouth Bell, and I play this. I'm on an A flat hop. And that's an example of this kind of old-timey sort of style of playing. It's a little bit of a ragtimey tune. And I don't really want to switch back to playing pucker all the time when I'm playing like slaps and splits. So that's where the tongue block blow bend comes in. You can sort of hear those blow bends coming out. So I advise you guys to have a go at this. Try on a low harp, you could try on an A, a G, even a low F, a low E if you've got it. Really work that whole 8. You might have to go back to just regular blow bending to remind yourself and then keep switching to a tongue block. I would say daily perseverance is going to get you further than any kind of technical analysis. And I wish you the best of luck, and I'll see you for another harmonica video very soon. Bye bye, take care.